All right, can everyone see this?
I can't see it. Yeah.
All right. So before I go into this, I'm going to show 3 magic tricks that are actually relevant to the video. So the first one is a really easy way to get up if you're lazy. So if you're here, you can't just kick your leg up so much and get up, but if you connect your hand to your knee and kick, your body comes up because you're connecting your upper body to your lower body. It's almost like a closed circuit. If you don't, you're like leaking power. So magic trick number 2 is going to be a little similar. If I am only able to use one leg to move my hips, it's going to be, you know, I can get a little bit of height, but if I connect the legs together, all of a sudden I'm able to move my hips a lot better because there is the that closed circuit with my legs. And so that kind of connects the hips so that when I'm using one hip to move, the other one comes along with it. And magic trick number 3 is more of a principle that I use when teaching hip tosses. So when you got a hip toss, this is the person's feet. So when you go for the hip toss, the first thing you do is you come in like this. Now this hand's going around the waist. Now I like to pretend there's glue all along my hand and on my side so that I'm going to suck the person in and glue them to me, almost like I'm merging with them, so that when I move my body, they're coming along for the ride. So I don't like, it's not, so kind of think of it not like I'm throwing them, but I'm just moving my body and they're just coming with me. So all I have to do to finish it, if they're sucked up close against me, is just take this foot and move it in there. So with those 3 magic tricks out of the way, was everyone able to see me? Cool. All right, so I'm going to first play this in normal speed. So it's just going to be like 15 seconds. Go. All right, that was it. So there is a lot of cool stuff going on in here. So we're going to put this to slow speed and we'll start. So we're going to start out, this is Marcelo Garcia right over here. And this is Rafael Lovato Jr. And he's also very high level black belt. Also was Bellator middleweight champion, I believe. So just a very high level fighter. And the first thing you're going to see is Marcelo is going to pull butterfly guard. And he's going to go for a sweep. But you're going to see that Rafael is going to anticipate. So as Marcelo pulls guard, Rafael is going to step out this way. We'll wait for it. There we go. And he's going to actually manage to get his other leg over. So what we're going to, and right into a half butterfly situation. So right before Marcelo's smashed down, he's going to reach up and grab Rafael's lapel. All right, so I'm going to pause here. So this is a bit of a rough situation for Marcelo because he's in a half butterfly guard. He's got one, think of his shin is pinned underneath over here. So if you're on the bottom in half and you're flat on your back, you're in a lot of trouble, especially when you got a big dude like this. And look at that that cross face. He's got his body is aligned to the past Marcelo's center line, so he's able to put a lot of shoulder to justice in there. So this has got to be really uncomfortable for Marcelo. So what's going to happen next is really interesting. So I'm going to play it slow at first, and then I'll go through it and explain it. All right. So the first thing to note is that Marcelo has this grip up here, and he's got his arm. He's pulling the arm pulling the lapel down, and it's like turning Rafael in a clockwise motion. So right here, Rafael is going to make the first move because Marcelo won't be able to lift him off him. He has to wait for Rafael to lighten his weight a little bit. So Rafael's is going to push off the floor. So his weight's coming off. And as he does that, Marcelo's going to ride the wave up. Now, right here, you're going to see him put his foot on his knee, and that's going to create a frame right here. And then right there, that was magic trick number 2 I showed you. He was using that because he didn't have his right leg free to generate momentum. By connecting this foot to his knee, he was able to use that momentum to really get onto this hip more. And plus that frame just jacked up Rafael every time he rocked. And with that, he's pulling. Now, the magic trick number 3, where by connecting yourself to somebody, you can use your body weight to move them. That right here is the principle. By having his arm like really tight there, and right here you're going to see that Marcelo is actually holding Rafael's knee against him, and it's creating all these points of contact right here, the frame here, pulling counterclockwise, and with his knee right here, so that when Marcelo rocks and his body moves, Rafael has no choice but to come with them because he's glued to Marcelo. So it's kind of like a strength amplifier in that you can it's not using muscle, but by using leverage and technique, it's almost like you have crazy strength. So as you can see here, Marcelo, if Rafael doesn't do anything, he's going to get tipped over. So of course he has to do something. So he's going to bring his weight back. Now, what that does, if you notice, he had a really nasty crossface on, and the crossface can only be effective if you're pushing your body weight this way. So when Rafael comes back, because he has to regain his base, it's going to loosen up the crossface there just enough for Marcelo to slip out. And you can see him get right there, slip out. There's a nice frame. And he transitions into single leg X. So Marcelo once again shows why he's a Jedi and why you all can keep Jason Momoa. I'll take Marcelo. And to be continued the rest of this, same bat time, same bat channel.
There you go. Thank you so much for that breakdown. Oh, and some cool fun facts about Rafael Lovato Jr. There's only 5 American black belts in the male division who have ever won worlds, and he's one of them. He won worlds back in 2007.
And where it was even worse.
Yeah,
in Brazil.
In Brazil. Was it in Brazil in 2007?
I think. No, it was already here.
It was already here, yeah. So still, really, really crazy feat to do for an American. Only other American black belts to have won worlds are Robert Drysdale, BJ Penn was the first one. Robert Drysdale was next. Then Rafael Lovato Jr., Mikey Musumeci, and Jamil.
Yeah,
Hill.
Jamil is the Hill. Only African American to do that. But Mikey is the one with the most titles. He has 3 titles.
And then Rafael also returned. He actually just competed this past weekend over in Fight to Win in Dallas. Is it Dallas or Texas?
Dallas.
Yeah, Fight to Win somewhere in Texas, because that's the only place that they can have jiu-jitsu tournaments right now without an audience. And that was like his first time fighting or competing in the gi in the past 2 years, since he's been doing MMA through Bellator. So definitely not someone who you can just walk through, obviously. So that just kind of just shows how great Marcelo is, but also just to kind of give you an idea that like it's not like Marcelo's just doing it on some random chump or like some random person. It's like
if you know me, you guys
level.
know I like to make sure you guys know the people that are being talked about, the black belts and even brown belts. But it's good to know people that pave ways and are really good martial artists, good competitors, and then not only that, but good teachers. Lovato also owns a school, a big school actually, and he has a lot of good students. So especially for all of you guys who are American, he should be held, at high regards in your jiu-jitsu sort of list. When you guys talk about jiu-jitsu, then you can name him, because he does have the respect in the community, especially because he's a really nice guy. So all the Brazilians respect Rafael and love him. So, and he's, by the way, if you guys didn't know, he got his black belt from the Ribeiro brothers, Shani and Saulo Ribeiro. So, Rafael Lovato is no joke, because he came from a lineage of world champions, guys that have won a lot of world championships. And then he also has his championship, all the tournaments, basically.
Some of the best in the heavyweight and up division, right?
Yes.
So I think Saulo was he ultra or super heavy?
I think ultra. But both of them have 80. Shani was heavy. Yeah. But both of them have 80 cc's. Shani is, 7 times world champion? And that's who Rafael Lovato was training with, too. So you guys get to understand a little bit of how good he is. I don't want to, keep saying, because we could take hours to finish all. Yeah, that's how good it is, really.
Yeah, also how nerdy we are.
So. Yeah, and before Michael Musumeci, before me saying, Michael Musumeci is my favorite American black belt, I would say Rafael was there first. I definitely like him a lot. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
All right, so on to technique. We are continuing with mount attacks. I'll start it off?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll start it off. We're going to be going over actually positioning first on mount. So all the different types of ways that you can mount, or, and I guess like the pros and cons of each type of mount that you do. And then we'll start transitioning into submissions, like how it can lead to submissions and whatnot. So I'm going to have, it's already going to be mounted.
Can you guys hear it good?
Looks like
thumbs up.
All right, so things that you need to know, right? However way you got to mount, and things you need to know about how you want to maintain mount, okay? I typically keep it to 2 or 3 different ways. You can, and you'll hear low, high, and maybe like an S mount. Although the S mount is just kind of like a variation of a high mount, okay? So I'm either gonna be low or gonna be high. There is a mid, which you can use, but I like being on either one of the extremes, okay? Because it translates to one's being more offensive and one's being more defensive, okay? So first things first, usually when I first get to mount, if I didn't already come up to mount, in which I would already be high, by default, I'm gonna be low, right? And the reason why I'm gonna be low is because I need to isolate his movement. I need to make sure that I can stay here. Keep in mind that if you're thinking about tournaments or anything like that, once I get to this position, there's no such thing as stalling. I can stay here as long as I want, and I don't even need to attack. I will never get called for stalling. Also, this is one of the positions that I can get scored 4 points for, okay? This is a top mount. If he were to go belly down, no hooks or anything, this is a back mount, okay? If you were to lift his hips up and I get my hooks in, this is back control, okay? So those are 3 different positions. 3 different positions, okay? And all of them score 4 points. So I've mentioned this, this story before, but if you go to an IBJJF rules seminar and they talk about you can score 4 points continuously if you rotate between these positions, right? You go from top mount, 4 points. Then you roll them over and it's back mount, you count 3 seconds, that's another 4 points. They lift their hips up, you get your hooks in, count 3 seconds, that's another 4 points. They drop their hips back down, you go to back mount, that's another 4 points. They turn back around, belly up, that's another 4 points. So you can continuously score 4, 4, 4. And the term that they like to use when they teach this is churrasqueo, or little barbecue, because you're like a piece of meat on a barbecue spit, just spinning around in the fire, getting cooked slowly. So that's why you want to make sure you keep the position, because 1, you can continuously attack, 2, it's if you can maintain there, you're going to remain dominant the entire time. So you can control the fight and you can control everything that your opponent is doing. Okay. So when I'm in a low mount, I want my hips connected to his hips. My feet cannot be loose. I can either chicken spread, which means I can lock onto his legs. I can cross my own feet, or I can even hide my feet underneath his butt here. You can see that. That's good. All right. And my chest is low. Right. I prefer locking my feet, keeping my hips, like my hips can't be up. Let's see how I drop and scrawl my hips down, and I keep my chest low and I keep my arms wide. This is very defensive because I don't have the posture to grab anything. If I were to try to grab right now, I'm too low and he'd be really easy to roll me in either direction. So I won't necessarily attack from here. This is just to maintain position, so keep that in mind. When I am ready to attack, that's when I want to start going to a high mount, right? And I can do that in many different ways. One of my favorite ways is, again, trapping underneath an elbow and then moving my foot from below his hip line to above his hip line. See that? Below his hips or behind his butt to above his hips. Never next to his legs here, because that here, if he turns to his side and he pushes my leg, he's gonna get it between his legs. But if it's below his hips, he can't do that. If it's above his hips, it's also gonna be very hard for him to do that because my feet are blocking his hips here. Okay, so it's always either below or above, never in between, and never loose. So I like to block one side so I can walk up, and now I'm higher. Now I'm sitting on his chest, okay? This is what I would call a high mount. From here, this is where a majority of my attacks are gonna come from. I'm free to attack the arm, I'm free to attack the collar, however I want. And I can also go into my S mount from here, okay? I do not wanna sit directly above his hips here, because he's very strong here. So if you were to buck or bridge, right, I would go with him. If I sit above his hips, more onto his chest, I don't go anywhere, okay? And that's because I'm not sitting onto the place that has the most amount of power. So always keep that in mind. If you're finding that like you're mounting and every single time the person bucks and you're having to place your hands somewhere, put your hands on the, scoot up a little higher, and then try to see if they can bridge and buck, go ahead. And you should see that their ability to buck you off is significantly lower, right? It takes some time. Now here's the one that we really want to go over. Turn, is the S mount, okay? S mount, my legs just kind of look like it makes like an S or a Z, whichever way you want to call it. It doesn't matter if he's flat on his back or if he turns onto his side, my legs are still going to be the same. So I'm gonna have him stay flat. Let's get closer to that. Yeah, okay. Now to make this easy, and this is the way that I like teaching it to kids, it's like I'm giving someone CPR, okay? So I have to really put my weight onto him, and I need to be able to like put my weight and almost like a chest compression. And again, and you can make this however way you want. You can be onto the arms, but just to make it simple so you get used to the actual drill, you want to put your hands on the chest. And since we're also going to put in an arm bar later on, pick an arm to isolate. If you want this arm, right, this is the arm I want, cross side is going to go on the chest, and the other one's going to go over that arm. Okay, if it were this arm, it'd be the other way. Okay, so I'm always choosing an arm to isolate. Now, when I do this, I want to put my weight forward. And so all of my weight is on my hands here, okay? And my feet become lighter. And when I do that, it's a lot easier for this knee to slide high up. See, it's gonna come towards, yep, turn. Come up towards his head here. This leg becomes light, but now I can straighten and scoop. And now this is an S mount. See, my foot is tucked underneath his armpit. My knee is pointing towards his legs and my foot is tucked over here. I wanna make sure it's not like this because if he wanted to, he can collapse the knee and push it through. So I wanna make sure that my foot is indeed hidden like this. And the other knee is up here, okay? And I can have my hands here. Now I wanna return back to regular mount. I do the same thing. Put my hands on the chest, I lean, I push, whoop, and then back here again. I'm gonna go to the other side, you're gonna see my back. I'll turn. Okay. Chest. Now, if I don't put any weight on my hands here, I can't do it. So I have to lean forward and put my weight. So I can slide the knee up and the other should scoop. And now I'm here. Okay, the higher I am, the better. Same thing, when I am up here, if he tries bridging or anything like that, it's really hard. As you can see, the higher I am too, the more exposed his arms are. So that's the reason why I want to make sure that when I turn into this S mount, I can't be low here where he can drop his elbow in. I need to make sure that my hip is really connected into his armpit here. Okay. Chest compression, push, and S mount. If I want to make it even tighter, just keep that knee up more, pushing more, and then you have a really tight S mount. And then move back. Okay, and if you want to add in the arm bar now, here's the fun part. The more that you put your weight, the more you rotate. You see how easy it is for me to spin and rotate. Now, since that leg that's rotating above the head is light, that's the perfect time for me to bring it over his head. So I'm here, I go here for the S mount, right? All I need to do now is just keep leaning. And look how the leg just slide over his head. Whoop. And now I got it. Very nice, okay? And now it's up. Trap, I lean forward, I do my drill so I can get up very, very high. Look how high my knee is. I lean towards the right so that my leg is very light. Look how my leg can go over his head very easy. I'm still sitting on him. And then I can armbar. And then when that feels really comfortable, then that's when you get to do like the fun spinny helicopter-y with the kids, they call it the fidget spinner armbar because you look like you just spin, which looks like that. Okay? Where you don't stop at the S mount anymore, you just use the drill and spin right into it. But it takes time to get to that. So keep doing the S mount drill. So start from low mount to high mount to S mount to armbar. Questions? Or hopefully you're able to see all that. I know I kept kind of cutting in and out as far as like what's in the screen because a little bit different here. Any questions? I see Sharon is trying it out.
Yeah. So when you get into the S mount, should your opponent be almost like perpendicular, like with their shoulder like up?
They can be flat on the mat. They can also be turning away. You don't want them turning into you though. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, wherever they are, like you can have the chest facing away from you, or you can have them facing straight up, but they can't be straight into you because that means that you're not going to be able to get the arm. Right. So okay. It could be either or. Both are correct. Just really depends on what you want to. Also know that if they turn to their side, right, facing away from you, then you also have the opportunity to take the back as well if you wanted to. But we're just focusing on the armbar for now. It also might make it a little bit easier too if the person is like wider than you. If they're flat on their back, it makes it a little bit easier for them to escape. So you can actually force them onto their side, and it makes it even easier for you to keep the S mount because you can squeeze your legs more, and it makes it more uncomfortable for them. It's more like you're sitting on their ribs than anything, so they don't feel too happy about that.
I think you guys once taught how to do an arm bar from up top of the S mat. Is that possible? I mean, I think it's a different move.
It's the
Is it
same. I'll
possible
show
to
you.
like?
Yeah, he's gonna, yeah.
That's good that you still remember.
Oh yeah, it was a while
Okay,
ago.
so the whole thing, so arm bar from the mount. So the whole idea of what people think, oh no, arm bar from the mount, so I have to fall. But you can finish, this. What I also didn't know, the arm bar, she's supposed to be finished on the mount if possible. You're supposed to, because you have the arm and you can't put your hips. So that will show both of them. Like once you go back, you fall on your back, or you just finished it. And I'll show that like once you guys take all your doubts with Professor.
I just showed the quick armbar. This is the one that we usually teach kids, or we usually teach beginners. But even I myself, I don't typically finish armbars like that. I finish armbars while I'm still on top of them, because it's harder for them to escape, and also I can just make them suffer a little bit more.
That's way more uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm a mean
for the person. If you're on top of the person's chest, like it's compressing, just like they can't breathe very well.
I'm a mean person, and I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to try to escape. So I stay on top the entire time. But the way that I just showed right now, that's what you want to do now. Like you want to get used to that. Then you can start graduating to staying on top to finish the armbar. But you have to be really positionally aware for it. Good question. Any other questions? No? All right, Junior's gonna go over just basic armbar, right? So the armbar that I gave you, again, is just kind of like a speed drill, right? It's less about the armbar and more about the positioning. So now he's gonna go through the details of going straight to the armbar. And keep in mind, throughout the week too, we'll also show you how to add armbars in from any submission that you do from mount, whether it's a cross choke or an Americana. There's always gonna be an armbar available. So we want you to be able to armbar from any position or any submission. Okay. So basic one. Pass over to Junior.
Here first. Yes. All right. So guys. So you're on a mount. Of course, to attack, like Professor Kristina already went over it, you won't ever be able to attack from the lower mount. When I'm on lower mount, I really just want to keep the position. I'm not gonna go anywhere anymore. Or is it when you get to mount and the people are like so super feisty, if I can say. So you stay here for a little bit and then eventually they tire out. Now you can go up, right? There's different ways. Professor likes to go here, right? 1 and then 2, right? So the armbar will be done from here, basically, right? I'm gonna pick up an arm, the person will be defending. I'm gonna choose an arm. I always choose the person's right arm, right? So I'm gonna choose an arm by doing this. So my hand's right here, I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna cup behind the elbow. And I'm gonna lift the person a little bit, not like super crazy, no, just a little bit here, just to bring the person's arm towards me, right? Like towards my belly button here. Now my other hand, I'll try my best to post on the mat because I need to move my leg up. All right, so I have the hand here. Gonna pose across, and I'm gonna move my leg up. So my knee will move all the way up to the person's ears or higher. So right here, sorry. And I'm gonna keep pressing towards the person's ear here. So you're here, your knees right here, you smooth it out. Right? And I'm squeezing my knees together. Can you guys see this? Sorry. She makes me suffer, so I'm definitely enjoying this a lot, guys, sorry. So here, squeeze. Now, you're not supposed to, like a lot of people will do it like this. No. So you're supposed to have a balance, enough balance to do this and sit on top of the person, all right? So try your best to not use your hand, all right? Because I feel like when you use your hand to do this, see, oh, see. Because now you don't have no more weight on top of the person. So right here, right? Squeeze. You can even hold the arm, but I prefer to not hold anything. If you feel like you need to hold something, then hold the arm here, like here. Here, all right? Here. Here. Now, I'm sitting on top of the person. Sorry. So right here, my heel is trying to towards like my knee here. You guys see it? All right. Usually people would choose one arm here. As I said, look, I'm gonna pick both. That's when I usually finish to go back, to go on. I'm gonna pick here, here, here. All right, you guys couldn't hear that, but I'm so sorry, babe. I love you, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I from here, look, I just need to bring my leg up, look, super close. Now I start pinching my knees. Can you guys see it? Pinching my knees. And then tap. All right, get to breathe a little bit. I'm so sorry. This is what we're talking about, making sure the person is uncomfortable. If you're sitting on the person's chest, they will start giving you the arm, okay, take it. You know, it's not fun to have somebody sitting or their whole leg is on top of your chest. It's really not fun. All right? Can I keep going?
Because I love you guys. Be thankful.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is the last one. I'm so sorry. All right, high mount. Cup the arm here, right? Hand across to give you some base. Bring your leg, all right? Hold the other arm if you need. If you don't need, you can just do it without holding. But if you feel like, oh, I need to hold something, then hold or cup behind the other elbow. Now bring your knee, boom, all right? Now, for me to finish the arm bar to go back, I like to keep holding both arms. I don't like to go just on one. I like both. So you can do whatever you prefer, but the person's arm is right here, so I'll hold both, look. I'll bring both, so I bring both like this. So the arm is already straight, so as I'm falling down, I'm going slow, the person taps, right? If you just focus on one, that's also fine, but I feel like when you focus on one, the person does this, okay? They have a better way to escape, and then you're in a better, like I feel like holding both arms not only help control the person better, but it also helps you actually finish in this arm, because how do people react when you have an arm? Boom. See? They have this. Can you see? So she's holding her arm. But if you bring this with you, she can't really hold anything. See? I'm behind the elbow here. Behind the elbow here. And I have the other one to finish. All right? So one more time. Just hold it. So here, as I go finish, I bring both arms. All right? I'll do one more time quickly. Here. Boom. Pinch your knees, guys. Like, if your arm bar is like this, the person's gonna get out. So make sure you pinch your knees as much as possible. Hold the other arm here. Now, just in case you got, which probably will not, 99% I think won't happen because of the weight you're gonna put on the person. They will give you the arm, but just in case people are strong and they hold, right? My favorite way to finish is I will still have the arm and I'm gonna hold my lapel. So here, I hold my lapel, I pinch my knees, and I'm gonna move this side. So I'm just gonna fall here. I'm not putting a lot of strength, right? Professor's gonna hold again, right? Here, hold, right? Because I didn't do this, so she's able to defend, but I'm already on the arm, I don't wanna lose it. So hold your lapel. You can also hold your shirt, Sharon, if you don't have a lapel. So here, and just fall to the side. Like, look, just fall to the side. And then finish it here. All right? Thank you, Professor. What? Yeah, your favorite way to finish? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Questions on that?
Ooh, it's so hot. Jesus. Oh my God, it's hot.
All right. So, Junior, quick question. So,
yeah.
Let's say, like, well, when Kristina had, like, escaped, like, from that armbar, what, yeah. Let's say, like, for example, what if the person who's doing, like, the armbar, what if their leg strength is, like, really strong to the point where they can, like, have the person, like, pinned down to the point where they can't escape?
You mean my legs are on top of the person and they cannot escape?
Yeah.
So if Professor is here, you mean?
Is it a question for me or a question for you?
No, it's a question for me, but I just want to know what it is. So here, right?
Yeah. And
so you mean when they're doing the hitchhiker? They go like this, right? you know.
Yeah, well, let's say like if your legs like just stay right there, like you just putting like all your weight like right there, like to the point where she can't like escape from like right there.
If the person turns their hand down,
Uh,
I would say that most likely they'll get out. It's really hard for me to just keep my legs down and try to stop her because I want the arm.
And
Right.
also, the thing is, there's a specific timing for doing the hitchhiker.
Exactly.
I can't just do it whenever.
Whenever, yeah, you
It's
gotta
the
wait.
moment that the arm breaks is the moment I have to go.
Exactly. So if you want, and your question is, oh, what if the person gets out? You got positions for that. We're not gonna go in depth with it, but if professor gets out, right?
Yeah.
You didn't lose the position right away. You still have position. Look, she has to come this way, but I can do this too.
oh,
With the pen.
the almost
It's
bottom.
all right. So the same way that the person that is defending the arm has a way to get out, you attacking the arm, you have other attacks too. So we'll get you guys ready for that. You know, for the people that can defend arm bars, and you're like, oh no, they got out. Okay, fine, I got something else, right?
Keeping your legs heavy is going to be the #1 way to keep the arm bar. But if you see that the
Person's already turned,
or they're rolling, you have to also recognize that they're beating you positionally.
And go straight for the other position.
And you have to move with them.
Yes.
So sometimes in this case, instead of just trying to force
it, just go with it.
Yeah. Sometimes in my case, I see that I'm really trying to go for the arm bar, and he's already turning. I'll already preemptively turn myself because he's already gonna give me what I want. So I'll just kind of sit. And a lot of that happens is because I am smaller, and I'm lighter. So it's very easy for a lot of like the bigger people I'll train with. If they move a leg or something like that, I can't keep the arm bar anymore. I'm really trying to keep it heavy pinch and everything like that, but sometimes they do better. They did better on the timing. It wasn't as tight as it should have been. And so now from there, I have to be able to recover. I can't just use strength to keep the position. I have to actually move them to keep the position or keep a better position.
And not only because my view on like how to make sure your legs are super heavy on top of the person's body, it's a little hard because your whole focus on the moment you already have the arm is to straighten their arm. You know, it's like straighten their arm and having your hips up and pinching. So it's very hard to pinch and then still make weight with your legs. It's very, very hard. So that's why if they time you well, they will be able to do the hitchhiker. So don't fight it. Just follow it up and then do it on the fly.
You'll also notice too that whenever you have an arm bar too, especially if you're seated here like this and they're holding, you shouldn't be thinking going backwards right away. Right? I should not be thinking, I need to go backwards to finish this arm bar. More than anything, I'm actually adjusting while I'm up here. So I'll stay right here. And if they're being very, very tight, you know, I see that they're trying to look for an escape, right? He's trying to escape. I'll start, you know, doubling up on whatever, you know, he's still holding on. So I actually will not go back until the moment that I know I have everything that I need to finish. Because then I know I can actually drop my weight down and then go back. If I'm thinking I want to go backwards from the beginning, look when I go back, my legs become light.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for him. So the key is when you do get a position to finish, again, if you're having the opportunity to do a fast finish, right? Like I showed you how to do a speed armbar, right? Even with that, you're still gonna land in this position at some point, in which case you can make your adjustments before finishing, right? You shouldn't be trying to make your adjustments to make something tighter when you're already down here. This is too late.
If it's not tight, they will get out. It should be tight from the beginning.
Yeah, so I always take more time here for my adjustments. Hence why I finish more of my arm bars from here, right? From here, because then I can keep adjusting, and then I'll finish from here. One last thing I'll show. He showed you a really good way to break the grip from the arm bar. So this is a nice little tidbit. Turn on your side a little bit, just like that. This is so you can see what I'm doing. So my way of doing it. Might be tricky. You might have a hard time doing this one at home, and I'll keep my leg off in the meantime so you can see what I'm doing. Arm that's closest to the head is gonna go into the arm here first. Okay, so he could be holding this way, he could be holding his wrist, he could be holding onto his gi. Doesn't really matter. All that matters is I can't get this arm straight. Okay. So the reason why the arm that's closest to the head is going to go in first is because I want the arm that's closest to the legs to be able to grab his knee. This is going to prevent him from spinning out, right? So the question about like, oh, the legs are heavy, they can't roll out. This is another way I can also prevent a person from escaping, right? If he can't roll away, he can't do the hitchhiker escape. So this is another way I can keep good control. Keep in mind that this entire time my leg is going to be over his head like this. Okay. So my hand can hold on to my thigh here in the meantime while I'm securing this position. Again, I'm not trying to finish from here right now. I'm just making sure I maintain position. So for as long as he's fighting, right, I just stay attached to him. I keep my leg heavy. I keep myself attached. I don't think of going backwards. I just make sure everything is where it needs to be. Now, because I put my arm in so deeply, you see how I have a lot of excess hand here, okay? So when I'm ready, when I feel like I've stopped his movement or he stopped, you know, flailing around for a bit, now is the time that I can start using what I want to do, which is I want to get the blade of my forearm to this side of his arm here. So I'm going to bring it to here, like this. Notice how I can't have a wrist bend right here. I actually have to try and make my wrist straight, okay? So I can be bent for a little bit, and then I have to turn to straighten my wrists. From here, this arm is going to push weight downwards. And this one is going to pull towards me, okay? So I'll let go so you can see, let go of his hand. What's going to happen is this. Okay, this is not a good feeling on the shoulder. This is the reason why this arm bar, or the way to break the grip for the arm bar works so well. So here, I'm positioning, I'm holding, lean, grab, straighten. Now hold tight, okay? He's gonna hold tight. All I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna drop my weight on this hand and pull on this one. Easy. Now it's broken, now I hug, now I go backwards. If right here I feel like he's starting to spin or anything like that, look how I just hug and I go back to his leg again. Less worried about keeping my legs heavy since I know I can't do it unless the person's my size or smaller. So if they're bigger, I have to really depend on this to make sure that they can't escape. Then I can even finish like this too, holding onto the leg. And then you have your arm. So you have some options for a simple go-to arm bar. You have ways to transition from mount to mount, and you have two ways to try and break the grip from the arm bar. I will do videos on these so we can post those up on the post it up for you guys to have later on, because those ones are definitely, those ones are definitely really important for you to have. Just makes your job easier, right?
Because you guys will be fighting a lot, and you always fight in the arm bars. Nobody just lets you do arm bars. Everybody, it doesn't matter, it's small, strong, like everybody fights on arm bars, and so you gotta have those little tricks up your sleeve to finish them. Especially if you're going with somebody that you feel like, oh man, this person is really strong. Like, let's give an example. Sharon on Austin. Austin is strong, guys. If he goes like this, feel like you really won't be able to hurt him, then you will need to use stuff like this. So, like the one that Professor showed, I feel like you lose it's like blood doesn't flow to your hand anymore, so your hand opens up, so you end up just giving. It's pretty good. It's really, really painful.
And then whenever you guys get a chance to come back here
Yeah,
and hey,
you guys
can you let me feel that the grip break? I'll gladly let you feel it for free. Or I don't know, hey Gary, I don't know. But essentially, armbar is one of the first submissions you'll ever learn as a white belt. So getting to the position of the armbar is actually pretty easy. You'll find very often how many times you can actually get to the armbar position, but finishing gets to be hard because people defend and they don't let you. Like, what do you mean I can't just give me your arm? Just give me your arm, right? What do you mean you're going to defend? What do you mean you're going to fight me back? So having these little tips on securing position so that you don't lose all that hard work and you actually get the finish you're working for. Questions, you guys? Questions? All right, well, we're gonna be doing lots of mount stuff this week, lots of submissions, and a lot of doubling back on how to maintain that dominant position while you are going for submissions, and also using submissions to transition to other submissions. So that's like the key with mount is again, learning how to maintain dominance at the same time, knowing that you have the luxury to pick and choose what submissions you want to take, right? Not rushing, just always prioritizing that you stay on top, because you don't want them to roll over, you don't want them to switch to anything else. This is actually where you want to finish or ride out the match, because you pretty much have your pick of the litter. It's not all you can eat buffet. I like buffets. I hope you guys like buffets too. Anything else you want to add?
Basically, it's mount is we have tried to describe which positions you guys should, like you should of course be well versed in jiu-jitsu, but we have spoken many times on which positions you really guys should prioritize if you guys want to control somebody. And I feel like mount and back mounts are up there. If you're really good at keeping your hips low and pinning people down with mount or getting somebody's back, like you have two great positions, and you work on it on like different submissions, making sure you got like a lot of tricks up your sleeves with those positions. Yeah, you guys are like, you guys have like a really great jiu-jitsu there. Even if it's just, oh, this guy only uses mount, but yeah, can he like finish from the mount, So you want to have that, even if you only like, oh, only go to the mount and I finish from there. Okay, fine. But does it work though? Yes. So stay with it.
So homework, you guys, if you have a drilling partner or if you just have your drilling dummies, practice going from low mount to high mount to S mount and then to armbar. And then the armbar, the way that you finish the armbar is either going to be junior's way or fast way. I'd say practice positions first, so make sure it's easy for you, because you notice that with junior's armbar, he still has to go to an S mount position. So, and that's usually the hardest part for everybody, is getting the dexterity and getting the muscles to move that way. It's not a normal position. So you can even just think of sitting at home like this, like that. Again, like little S position, or even sitting like this, with the heel up. Again, not the most comfortable, but if you have something underneath you, like a pillow, a dummy, an actual person to train with, practice going from mount to S mount, low mount, high mount, S mount, low mount, high mount, S mount, S mount, S mount, armbar, whatever. The more that you do that, the easier it will become. That's it for today. If you guys don't have any questions, we'll see you Thursday. Is Gary on hold?
He's right there, the guy with the hat.
Sorry.
It's right here. You look like him.
Yeah,
How to drop a
who's
mixtape.
this guy? Oh,
It's him.
anything you want to post with, Gary?
Yeah, just two things. One, if you guys aren't in that grapple fit, you guys got to get in there. I mean,
It's true.
Like
It's true.
the arm bars,
Right.
all that good stuff, you can bring it to class. I'm